Well, we want to go to talk about the jurors who convicted Van Dyke say he never should have taken the stand in his own defense.
CBS 2's Lauren Victory is live inside the courthouse with more on what the jurors are saying. Lauren.
Hi there, Rob and Erica. Well, the jurors said they took an initial poll and that two of them initially thought he should be acquitted on that murder charge. That those people ultimately changed their minds after talking more about if Van Dyke had to kill Laquan McDonald. An hour and a half after their verdict was read, jurors in the Jason Van Dyke trial discussed their thought process.
I thought everything went the way it should have went.
What do you mean?
Never thought they would have a first degree. I didn't think they could get him on first degree.
They say they deliberated on the murder charge first. After some disagreement, the group ultimately decided Van Dyke's actions were unreasonable but not premeditated.
Second degree was a mitigating factor that in Mr. Van Dyke's mind, he was doing the right thing.
One woman who didn't want her face shown explains the conviction another way.
We watched the video many times, and it was stepping forward instead of retreating. I think we all pretty much thought that he could have avoided it.
Taking the stand did not appear to help the former officer's case.
He only remembered what he wanted to.
It felt like it was a rehearsed situation, and I didn't quite trust that.
His testimony was incredible to me. I felt like he was trying to remember stuff that he said that maybe wasn't true, and he wanted to make sure he didn't trip himself up.
Despite 3 weeks of being stuck in a courtroom, all agree that serving on this case was a privilege, not a burden.
I feel that we gave a good verdict. We looked at all the evidence and we ruled on it accordingly.
The jurors had a question during deliberations about the aggravated battery charges. They weren't sure if they should consider the sequence or the number of shots fired. They revealed that they actually considered only finding Van Dyke guilty of 14 out of those 16 shots fired, thinking perhaps those first 2 were justified. They changed their minds. I'm Lauren Victory reporting live inside the Layton Criminal Courthouse, CBS 2 News. Rob and Erica.
All right. Thank you, Lauren.